It's Miss Dom, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about making a collage and a little bit about Bearden. Bearden is an artist who was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. He grew up in rural Mecklenburg County, but moved with his family to New York City when he was a young man, but traveled still to his family that lived in the rural parts of North Carolina, as well as graduated from college. He did a lot. He was a writer, he was an artist, he worked as a social worker in New York City, and so he had a very active and full life. He documented his experiences both in the city and in rural North Carolina. He documented the experience of people who were African American in the 20th century, from the 1930s all the way up until the 1970s. He received an honorary doctorate degree from North Carolina Central University. So he's an important artist in North Carolina and the world. And one of the things that he did is he created collages. So you see some examples of his collages in this slide, and he would combine, he called them photo montages, because he would take photographs, he would take pen and paper, he would cut and combine things, and so his artwork was very complex. He was influenced by abstract artists and expressionist artists, and he studied other artists as well as drew on his own experiences to create his artworks. So I would just want to talk a little bit about not just his art, but how you might go through the process of creating a collage. So I started one, I haven't finished it, but first I needed to get an idea, and I was just sort of going through a magazine, looking at pictures, trying to find a starting point, trying to begin with an idea. And my idea, I saw a faucet. And believe it or not, the faucet was my inspiration, because I thought of water and I thought of flow. And so you can think of literal water flowing, or you can think about this idea of when life and ideas flow, you're calm, relaxed, you're working well, and things are going well. Sometimes in life might be like you're turning up the faucet too high and everything just sort of splatters and you get overwhelmed. Or maybe you're bored and it's just drip, drip, dripping, and you're not getting any good ideas. So the concept of flow as how we live our lives, you want to, sometimes people say, go with the flow. And so that was my thought. So I needed to prepare for that, so I cut that out. I found also some like water splashes, which actually didn't even go with that magazine page. I found that somewhere else. And then I used oil pastel. You can use paint, crayons, markers, whatever you have. If you have colored paper, if you don't have colored paper, you really need to work with whatever you have available. You might have photographs at home. Definitely ask your parents before you start cutting up any family photographs. And I did a little drawing that's kind of like me swimming through the flow, and I have a little paintbrush in my hand because I'm the art teacher, and even in class, sometimes things flow, sometimes things happen and we get a little discombobulated, and sometimes everybody's like really excited and we all have an awesome time, whether we're in class or we're working at home. So the next thing I did, so I have my paper here, and I need to think about how I'm going to put this together. So you want to start with sort of your base colors, and you want to just arrange things before you start gluing them down. So you notice I held up a bunch of things that I have. I didn't glue anything down because I need to arrange it. And so that's something we need to think about when we're doing a collage or we're doing anything. We need to sort of lay things out and figure out how they're going to fit together, and plan a little bit before you ever do any kind of gluing. Okay, so I've got all my papers here, and I'm going to need to figure out how all these pieces and parts are going to fit together, and then do some gluing, and then maybe add more. Go back over it, do some more drawing, add some more things, but you definitely, before you even get started, have something to work with. Okay, so I am going to arrange. I know you can't see what I'm doing right now because it's kind of, you have little bits and pieces. It's kind of hard to arrange them without them falling down. And some of these little bits and pieces I may not even wind up using. So I'm not sure if I'm even going to use all of my parts. Okay, so I'm just kind of moving things around on my paper. And once I'm happy with how everything is arranged, I'm going to take my glue bottle and start gluing things down. And once again, you're probably going to have some overlapping. So you want to do what's behind the background parts first. And then from there, start adding some of the more detail parts to it. Now, when I glue things down, I'm only using a little bit of glue, so that way if I need to reposition it, I can do that without too much problem, and I can pick it up and move it before that glue dries without having glue everywhere. And then if I need more glue later on, I can add more glue. So I am trying to start simple, getting the background pieces down. Okay. So right now I have this much, and I'm probably going to need to trim this little bit here. It's kind of hanging off the edge. And now I'm going to add my little when I said dot, dot, not a lot. Just a few drops of glue in there. Okay. And so when I hold this up right now, you can see that it's getting somewhere, but it's definitely not finished. Okay. So I am going to cut out shapes that I made that I'm going to add to it. I'm going to go back in with my oil pastels. So I use oil pastels to get started. And sliding that around. Okay. So I feel like this definitely needs more. So I'm going to go in with my oil pastels. Some more to it and sort of start to connect those different parts. I can use some white for some water. And start connecting everything I'm going over some of those shapes with that white oil pastel, and I can continue building on this and adding more details as I work. So again, take some time to think about, what is your idea or your theme? Does it have something to do with your family, or maybe it's a food that you like, or maybe it's a memory, or maybe it's something to do with your pets. It's up to you. maybe you can get inspiration like I did, sort of looking at different images and thinking about what they could mean to you or what they might symbolize. Depending on how much paper and supplies you have available, it might be more cutouts, or it might be more paper that you've drawn on and then rearranged after you've cut it. So again, you want to think about the idea of drawing on your memories. Most of Romare Bearden's collages drew on memories of growing up in North Carolina as a child, and then also his life as an adult. He was also a musician, so there's some music themes that you see in his art. So he was a writer, he was a musician, he was an artist, and he was a social worker, what we sometimes call a Renaissance man. And the time when he lived in Harlem, they had something that was known as the Harlem Renaissance. So he was one of the Renaissance men of the Harlem Renaissance in New York City, and a North Carolina native. So somebody we definitely want to feature when we're thinking about art in North Carolina. So good luck with creating your collage. I feel like I probably need to work on mine a little bit more, but I don't want you to copy what I did. I want you to think about your own ideas, your own themes, and your own concepts, and then figure out, find, make the parts that you need in order to put it all together and create an interesting collage. So good luck, have fun. I will give you a couple days to work on this, because I know just thinking and watching this video and looking at some of the artwork by Romare Bearden is going to take some time. And then once you've looked at all that and you've gathered up your supplies, you may have to move on to something else. So get as much done as you can today, and then continue with this and finish it next week during your art time. And I hope that you come up with a great idea, and I'd love to see it. Bye.